Hello guys, True here. I just wanted to let you guys know, before we get into this video, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors at Plague League. These people are awesome. They supported me through my run at POG, the Suedo World Championships, and they're awesome. Go show them some love, and use code TRUETCG for 5% off on your next order from Plague League. And fun fact, the more you buy, the more you save with code TRUETCG. So go show them some love. They have great prices on things ranging from promos to Darkness Ablaze codes, and a whole lot of other things. And if my computer would load, I would show you guys what they have on the next page. As you can see, they have a bunch of stuff on sale. So go check them out, show them some love. They have some cool promos and stuff. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. Hello everyone, True here, back with another video. I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day. And before we do get into this video, please do remember to like and subscribe. Really helps out with this channel, really encourages me to make more videos. And while you're at it, please do remember to drop a like so this video does get shared with more people. And let's get into today's video. So over the course of the past week, I have been practicing for POG, which, if you don't know, was a Suedo World Championships that happened through Discord and PTCGO in order to make up for the cancellation of the actual World Championships this year. And the cool thing about it was that anyone could have entered. So someone who doesn't play in major real-life events like regionals and stuff, such as me, could have entered into this tournament, which I did. And the really exciting thing was that I made day 2 with Falinks. And in this video, I will delve into why I chose Falinks and the specific card choices for the deck itself. But first off, I do want to point out where I got inspired to make this Falinks deck. It was from a Japanese player that did relatively well with this list. This is not the list that I played at POG, but this is the list that I was sort of working off of, which was the Falinks with the Lightning package with Tapu Koko V. The primary idea behind this deck was to, of course, attack with Falinks and finish off with Tapu Koko V as a backup attacker. And we're super aggressive. We can punish and chase our opponents, the Dedenne-GX, using Pokemon Catcher and win the game just super quickly, which is what made this deck super strong. And this deck did get second place at the Ginza Invitational. I believe that's what it was called. And this is what really inspired me to make the deck off of, because this is probably one of the major events that Falinks did well at. And that was really something I really wanted to do well at POG. So of course I looked at this list and incorporated it into my own playstyle, I should say, maybe. Just changed a couple of cards around. And yeah, let's just go take a look at my list. It is quite different, but it was definitely inspired by the Lightning package list. And this was the list that I played at POG. As you can see, there is no Lightning package. I realized that I felt like attacking with Falinks V was much more powerful because Eternatus was a thing, and you're not one-shotting Eternatus with Falinks unless Dojo is in play and you are behind on price cards, and that's quite a few factors that I didn't really want to go by, because and I just really wanted to get a clean one-hit knockout with Falinks V. So that's the reason I decided to cut out the Lightning package, and Falinks V is able to actually hit harder than Koko V with the exact same energy cost, except it's with fighting, and you do 10 more damage, and the effect is the exact same during your next turn. This Pokemon can't attack. The only downside is that Falinks V does not have free retreat, which, oh man, would be so good. But unfortunately, Falinks V it does not have very much mobility, not as much mobility as Koko V does. So this list is pretty straightforward, I would say. We play 4 Falinks, line 4 baby Falinks, 4 Falinks V. A couple of techs that I was thinking about was Diancie Prism Star, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen in a bunch of Falinks decks. Now, personally, I did not like Diancie Prism Star that much. I felt like it was just a little nuisance on the bench. I realized that you can one-shot Azation if you have Diancie Prism Star on the bench, but I tried Diancie Prism Star out and I never really liked it. So that's the reason why I didn't play that. And another tech I was thinking about was the Dedenne-GX. Now, the reason I was considering it was because this deck has a major problem, and that is getting stamped or Marnied late game into a complete garbage hand. And unfortunately, when you're playing Falinks, normally you don't play the Dedenne-GX, so you don't have that explosive draw power in the late game to hit a boss's orders without having to play a draw supporter, which is a pretty big problem because that's normally how a lot of games finish, with that boss's orders on that bench Dedenne, or that bench Crobat, or that bench damagization, or the bench damage ADP. It's just really unfortunate that this deck cannot afford to play Dedenne-GX unless you are playing the Lightning package. Now, I was pretty set on not playing the Lightning package, and I tried out Dedenne-GX. I really didn't like it. I remembered a game against one of my teammates where I actually started out with Dedenne-GX, and that game went downhill really quickly. Just team attack only doing 120 damage is so much worse than 150 damage. Ideally, you only want to use Dedenne when you in the early game when you're absolutely bricked, or in the late game where you don't need to hit 150 damage. You only need to hit 120 against a bench Dedenne. But unfortunately, it's pretty hard to not discard the Dedenne or utilize it before late game. So that's the reason I did not include it. I thought it was a waste of space, and I would rather take the risk of just drawing into my boss's orders instead of having to utilize the Dedenne, which Dedenne is a risk that I was not willing to take. Now, I really wanted to make Falinks as consistent as possible because, and even with this deck playing 10, technically 11 draw supporters if you count Bird Keeper as one, it's still pretty inconsistent, I won't lie. That's the reason why Falinks suffers so much. That's the reason why the Japanese list was able to do so well, was because it played that Dedenne-GX, and it could unpunish itself from playing that Dedenne-GX by using Tingly Return, which is so good. So that's probably the main reason why the Japanese list did so well. But I really wanted to target on consistency, so I played 4 Acro Bikes, and the reason Acro Bike is so good in this deck is because it synergizes super well with Turbo Patch. Turbo Patch states flip a coin. If heads, attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your basic Pokemon that isn't a Pokemon GX. There are not any Pokemon GXs in this deck, so Turbo Patch can allow you to Turbo Patch to a Falinks V, which is the reason that Falinks V can attack, as a matter of fact. Because of Turbo Patch, you can charge this up in one turn if you hit a couple of heads and just hit 210 damage out of nowhere, basically, which is super sick. So basically, I decided to play a lot of Fighting Energy, 8 Fighting Energy, which is a solid number. The Japanese list only plays 6 Lightning Energy and 2 Capture Energy. I decided to go all in with the Turbo Patch, with the Acro Bikes, cut all the Capture Energies, and play 8 Fighting Energies. That probably was not the most ideal thing to do, as Capture Energy is absolutely amazing in Falinks. But just with my specific build, I didn't want Capture Energy, and I just decided to go heavy with the Fighting Energy count. We play 4 Crushing Hammer, which is pretty unique. I haven't seen Crushing Hammer in any other Falinks build. I hold it unique that I am the one who decided to add it. Hopefully I'm correct on that. Crushing Hammer just super good in this meta, being able to Crushing Hammer off an energy off of Eternatus to delay them from attacking if they don't play something like the Rose Engine or Bede. which is pretty unlikely as Eternatus decks usually focus on consistency most of the time, and Crushing Hammer, it helps with the ADP matchup a lot, but the ADP matchup is still generally unfavored, as ADPZ does play Energy Switch, and even if we Crushing Hammer off a Water Energy turn 1, they are still likely to pull off that turn 2 Altered Creation, which is pretty unfortunate. I decided to go with 2 Ordinary Rods instead of 1 Lana's Fishing Rod. I realized the reason that the Japanese list only played a Lana's Fishing Rod instead of Ordinary Rods was because they had a backup attacker. They had Tapu Koko V, and they even had the Dedenne-GX. But unfortunately, we only have Falinks and Falinks V as our attacker, so I really decided to commit heavy to the recovery and decided to go with 2 Ordinary Rods. Of course, we play 4 Quick Ball, and I opted to go with 2 Reset Stamp, and this definitely paid off in one of my rounds that I'll talk to you guys later on. But Reset Stamp is a super powerful card. Being able to stamp our opponent to 1 card, to 2 cards, to 3 cards, or even to 4 cards is extremely powerful. Reset Stamp is just such a good card in Falinks because sometimes you need to buy a turn or 2, and Reset Stamp is just the card to do so. The really interesting thing about this deck is that we only play 1 martial arts dojo. I definitely would like to find more room, but unfortunately I ran out of time for testing, and just decided to play 1 martial arts dojo. I was considering playing Viridian Forest for consistency, but I ended up opting for the martial arts dojo, which in the end I believe definitely paid off for me. The ability just to attack harder, just by having a basic energy attached, a basic fighting energy attached, is super powerful. The stadium overall is pretty underrated, I would say. Being able to do 40 more damage if you're behind on prizes is extremely good. So Martial Arts Dojo, definitely an amazing card to have, and especially when you can just Turbo Patch an extra energy to Falinks, even if it has a Twin Energy on, sometimes it is worth it for that 10 or 40 extra damage. So that's why Martial Arts Dojo is just so good in this deck. We play 1 of Bird Keeper. I went from 2 to 1 Bird Keeper. Didn't really find it necessary ever to use Bird Keeper. It definitely did come in handy a couple of scenarios when I was playing in POG. So definitely no regrets for playing 1. You could up the count for 2, but I only ever found need for 1. We play 3 bosses orders. I decided to cut down on the Pokemon catchers, which I definitely didn't want to do. I love playing Pokemon catchers. Oh man, those flips were so good when they were heads, and you were just able to take charge of the prize trade. But unfortunately, I didn't want to play too many coin flip cards. I already had Crushing Hammers and Turbo Patches per se, so I only decided to opt to play 3 bosses orders, which is definitely the count you want to go with. 4 bosses orders I think is overkill, but 3 is just the perfect number, I would say. We play 4-2-4 line of Research, Marnie, and Cynthia, which is the exact same draw line that the Japanese list played. I definitely think you can up this number, because the Japanese list was playing the Dedenne-GX as well, so they had an excuse to play slightly less draw supporters. So definitely can go with a 3-4 line of Cynthia to Marnie. I definitely would like more Marnies in this deck. Marnie just being an extremely good draw supporter, being able to disrupt your opponent. Yeah, I definitely would opt for more Marnies now instead of more Cynthias. Looking back on it, so that's a change I would make to this deck. We only play 2 Air Balloons. I loved playing 3, but because we added Bird Keeper, I decided to cut the Air Balloon count down to 2, unfortunately, and I definitely would play 3 Air Balloons and 1 Bird Keeper if I had the choice to go back. So that's another change I would make to this deck. We only play 1 of Counter Gain because this list is pretty tight, and while I would love to play 2 Counter Gains to be able to utilize 1 with a Falinks and the Falinks V, I only found the room for 1, and Counter Gain definitely came in clutch a bunch of times in this tournament. So Counter Gain, it's basically the card that's overlooked to be played in Falinks. A lot of Falinks decks play Big Charm or something along the lines of that. Toughness Cape you could say, but in the very end, I think Counter Gain and Giant Bomb are the way to go. Giant Bomb really helps out in the Zacian matchup, even though the Zacian matchup, whatever Zacian deck our opponent plays, even if it's Luke Metal or straight Zacian or combo Zacian, we're all unfavored. Giant Bomb slightly helps us, even though it doesn't entirely curve the matchup in our favor. It's super helpful to put 10 damage counters on our opponent's Zacian when they attack us. And of course we play 4 Twin Energy, that's pretty obvious. So a lot of you guys might be thinking, well true, it's pretty obvious you should have played Falinks. Vikavolt would have been everywhere day one. Duh, of course Falinks was to play. Well, I would hate to tell you that if you had this mindset, you are clearly wrong. Believe it or not, I faced 0 Vikavolt throughout the entirety of this tournament. I faced 0 Vikavolt, 0 Pika Rom, 0 electric decks overall, besides Turbo Rayquaza, but that doesn't really count. Rayquaza is a dragon Pokemon. Oh man, not facing Vikavolt was so bad for us, because had we faced Vikavolt, it basically would have been an auto win for us, because Vikavolt only hits for 50 against Falinks, and with Falinks V's Iron Defense formation, if we have 3 of these dudes out, they hit 0 damage without Electro Powers. But unfortunately for me, like always, we did not face a single Vikavolt in day 1 or day 2, which is really unfortunate. Of course, Vikavolt was not the most popular deck in POG. That was ADPZ, and we faced plenty of ADPZ. I believe day 1 I faced 3 out of my 10 matches, I think, or more. I could be wrong. In day 2, I also faced 2 ADPZs, I think. So ADPZ, just such a bad matchup for us, and we had to face just a bunch of those instead of Vikavolt. Pretty unfortunate for us. And of course, another reason why I played Falinks was for Eternatus. Oh man, guess how much Eternatus I faced? Not 0, better than Vikavolt, but I only faced 1 Eternatus, and that was my win into day 2, actually. I did play against Eternatus, and that was the match I wanted to talk about. Reset Stamp being so powerful. In the later game against Eternatus, our opponent already used up all 4 of their Crobats, so I stamped them to 2 cards. First I Marnied them, I Marnied into a Reset Stamp, and then I Reset Stamped our opponent to 2 cards. I swung with Baby Falinks, they drew a card, and they didn't have anything going for them. So that's the reason Reset Stamp is so strong in this deck late game. And just looking back on it, Falinks was definitely a pretty solid choice for day 1, I would say, except you also get bodied by Sentiscorch, so maybe not, but I didn't face any Sentiscorch until day 2, where I did play against Celio's network on his stream, but unfortunately I did lose to a Sentiscorch list because it's Sentiscorch. Got pretty close game 1, but took the L game 2 pretty hard. So Falinks was a pretty decent play for day 1, but day 2, I would say that I should have changed up my deck, but I wanted to go down with pride, saying I played Falinks day 2, and that's exactly what I did. Now, I hope this deck list really shows you guys how you can build Falinks V different from all of the other Falinks decks that you see on YouTube. Heck, take this deck, change it into what you want, play it for the 4 days that until rotation, have some fun with Falinks. Yeah, overall I think this is a great budget deck you can play. Does great against Vikavolt, does great against Eternatus, gets bodied by ADP and Sentiscorch, but that's fine, you know. Overall, really fun deck to play, and I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please do remember to like and subscribe, and as always, please remember to stay safe. Peace out, and have a good day.